call meeting to order. If you would, please rise and join the pledge.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Everybody had a chance to review the minutes?
Move to approve.
Second.
It's been properly moved and seconded that we approve the minutes for the February 5th council meeting and the February 12th special meeting. All those in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, public comments. Tina Michaels.
Thank you. Can I give this to you? You're the lawyer, right?
Yep.
I don't want to take too much of your time, but I do have something I need to bring up. Last Saturday, I was attacked by a couple of dogs down there on East Walnut and Sycamore, and it has been I've been attacked by at least 6 dogs in the last 2 years around here. This one is probably the worst. If you look at attachment A, which is the maps, that tells you all the places that my dog and I have been attacked in the last 2 years. C, down here where it says C along Main Street, that's the latest one. That's the one where the 2 dogs attacked me and my dog. It was very bad. I ended up having a heart attack from it. I had to go to the hospital for 3 days. It tore up my shoulder, and I wasn't even able to get my dog to the vet because I had to go to the hospital. So I was upset about that. But anyway, if you go on to attachment B, attachment B is just a picture of the dog that we ran over on our motorcycle. You can see the blood and guts there. And then attachment C, you can see the picture of my dog, how she got chewed up and me in the hospital. Okay, we got all that. So on back to the first page, I just put in the Indiana statutes about dog bites. First time is a Class C misdemeanor with up to 60 days and $500 fine. Class B, $1,000 fine and $180 days in jail for serious bodily injury. If you go to the next page, suggestions. I'm just going to run through this because I know you guys are so busy. Some suggestions I would like to make are that we should post animal regulations on the Hagerstown government website, including the fines and various consequences to animal attacks, the leash law, the number of dogs allowed, etc. Perhaps survey citizens to determine dog attack data and community concerns about animals. Since this happened to me, I have been on Facebook, and a lot of people have been reaching out to me about different animal problems like feral cats and dogs attacking their dogs and people and everything. Number 4, enforce maximum penalties. Perhaps build a dog park in Hagerstown. Maybe research possible grants. I'll look into that and see what I can find. Number 6, provide a hotline report option for people to report animal problems in the community. Number 7, develop dangerous dog requirements. Once a dog bites, then the dog must be registered at the town hall. Requirements include the owner must provide yearly rabies shot documentation. The owner must provide proof that the owner dog has attended dog safety classes or training, and the owner must provide proof of adequate confinement method like fencing or whatnot. Number 8, provide the community with an all-call or mailing announcement to educate the community on animal attack ordinances. And the last one, provide an alternative when the police have to pick up loose animals so that the police department is not billed around $400 to take the animal to the vet or shelter. When this happened, I was told that anytime the police have to take an animal, pick up an animal and take him to the vet or the pound, it costs the police department $400. So I was thinking maybe we could come up with an alternative plan because we have feral cats, and I've been bitten 6 times, well, attacked 6 times. So I just wanted to bring that to your attention and see if there's anything we could possibly do.
Thank you for providing this information for us. I know after hearing of this situation, I talked to Keith and found out that law enforcement followed everything that was within the ordinance. They issued the ordinance violation to a person with a dog, and it's already been taken care of. Listed, and I also pulled the Chapter 90 of our town ordinance that follows all of those guidelines and things in there. I do know that that is accessible through the website under ordinances. It is very challenging because you've got to select Hagerstown in Indiana and try to get to that. So might have a way there to look at improving that ability. John, in regards to state statute versus town ordinance, what?
Well, I mean, the local law enforcement or sheriff or whoever investigates could certainly, if the state statute applies, can enforce it there. You also may have a personal, civil claim against the owner of the dog for your damages. But the state statute could certainly apply as well. You have to look into, that's just one, you have to look into the whole title and just make sure that it would apply to this specific situation, but that can be enforced as well.
Good. Thank you very much.
On your 6 attacks, were they by the same? Was there any of them by the same dog that you know of?
No, they were all different dogs.
All different dogs.
They're all around town. The one up here where he is, that was Knoblet Road. That's where we ran over the dog on the motorcycle.
And I take it each time this has happened, have you reached out to the police department to let them know that you were attacked?
Only the one over there on North Pearl and Main Street, and the one, because that was more severe, and then the one that I just had was more severe. The other ones, they just like that and kind of went off on their own. I always carry my switchblade with me, so I can get them off of me a little bit. So.
I will say that we encourage our residents to follow the ordinance. I know when I take my dog out for a walk, especially going out because he has a tendency to jump the fence. He's not vicious or anything, but low fence he can go over. So he's on a leash, and we know that those ordinances are in place, and from my understanding, enforced to the letter.
Thank you very much.
Heart of Hagerstown.
So the dogs that bit her, were they put down? Would our ordinance allow that?
Not initially. There's a lot more requirements that have to be met to be deemed an aggressive dog. Also, those bites, as far as to her specifically, were very, very minor. Her injuries that weren't actually from the actual dog. And we've only been notified about 2 of those incidents. One of the other incident, the dog made no contact with her specifically. The most recent one, the dogs made no contact with her at all, just with her dog, which also was basically pretty minor. Some of the other incidents she was talking about, like she talked about on Knoblet Road, it's not even around here. We have chosen to utilize the state statute on certain situations. It's deemed, that's appropriate for that. Most of them it applies our local ordinance handles that, and that's, you know, what we use most of the time. As she even said, a lot of the incidents might just be a dog's running loose and comes up and barks, etc., but there's no contact, which is what happens probably 95% of the time. We still address it with that resident. If it's something that has happened prior to that incident, it's a reoccurring thing, then they are cited for it. But I would say, I would disagree with the use of the word attack. We've only had one incident since I've been here to where the dog has been that aggressive, and the department and the council took actions to remove that dog from town. That was several years ago. So. But everything is in place within the ordinance, etc., if we run across a situation to be able to do that. And almost everything that she addressed is in place and accessible. You know, it might be, like I said, a little difficult to find on the site, but all that stuff is in place. And also the comment about it costs $400 every time we take a dog is not accurate at all. Generally, whoever the dog belongs to pays that fee when they pick their dog up.
Thanks, Keith.
Other questions? Okay, Heart of Hagerstown.
Heart of Hagerstown, we are planning this summer to do a latex paint recycling event. That'll be hosted at the hardware store. We will also have on the agenda another e-waste event. We'll host that at Precision Wire. Dates are still being formulated for those two events. Probably will not be in the first half of the year, if I had to guess, just trying to get through spring and the eclipse and everything else. We've had several community meetings about Hometown Christmas. I have not been at those meetings, but I know they are getting some feedback and trying to revamp that event festival to try to bring it back to life or give it a new life there. So that is what I have for Heart.
Thanks, sir. Any questions? Any other public comments? Okay, under council action, we have a sewer credit for 151 East College Street. Paperwork's before you.
Excuse me. Oh, sorry. I would like to introduce Amy Coffin. She does have something she'd like to address that I would consider public.
I received a letter in the mail for our property at 301 South Carey Street. And so I mailed in my letter in response, and so I will just read it to you guys. I don't know what action needs to be taken from there. I can read the original letter if you want me to, that way you know what I'm talking about, or I can just read my response. Which would you prefer? No. Yeah. I'll read the original letter.
She received a notice of violation.
I received a notice of violation. The violation says, Mr. and Mrs. Coffin, I am contacting you because you are listed as the property owners of 301 South Carey Street in Hagerstown, Indiana. Your property is in violation of Ordinance 159 of Town's Code for several reasons. Please see copies I have sent. And then it says, unsafe building, rotten floor and possibly structure, collapse in warp, water damage and rot, collapse, snow and wind stress, warped, buckled, deterioration and decay, unsafe to inhibit, possible entrance and entrapment, multiple animal inhabitants are a nuisance to neighborhood, decay, possible fire hazard, public nuisance, vacant for more than 6 months. This is your written notice that the property is in violation of town ordinance. You hereby have 30 days or until February 9th to return either your written proposal to remedy the violations or an appeal to the Town Council. Thank you for your prompt attention to this matter. Any correspondence can be directed to the Town Building Commissioner or the Town Hall Council at the address above. So my response was in the form of a letter, and I had sent it on February 1st. I had faxed it and I dropped it off. And it says, Town of Hagerstown. I am writing to appeal for reconsideration of the status of property located at 301 South Perry Street, which falls under the provisions of Ordinance 159, Unsafe Building. Our intention upon purchasing this property during the COVID pandemic was to demolish the existing structure and merge the land into our adjacent property at 349 South Perry. However, unforeseen circumstances have hindered our ability to proceed with the demolition as planned. Here are some key points regarding the property. Our initial intentions. We were informed by the seller that the property was next on the list for the demolition under the Blight Initiative. Our purchase was made with a clear intention of demolishing the structure and utilizing the land for other purposes. The challenges faced. We were misinformed by the seller, and the property was not next in line for the Blight Initiative. Inflation. The unexpected rise in construction costs due to the inflation has impacted our budget significantly. Employment changes. Unforeseen shifts in our employment status have further strained our financial resources. In the current situation, while we remain committed to demolishing the structure, we currently lack the necessary funds to proceed. Despite this, we have taken steps to contribute positively to our community. Historical restoration. We have used salvaged materials from this property, including original siding, windows, and numerous other materials. These materials have been used to restore other buildings on Main Street, enhancing the historical integrity and curb appeal. So a lot of those buildings there on Main Street, that's part of the reason why the house looks as bad as what it does, because they have been taking materials from that house and using it to make Main Street look better and to keep that historical integrity. Community engagement. We have allowed the property to be used for training purposes by Hagerstown Fire Department during our ownership. They've done a couple of different training exercises there on that property. Appeal for consideration. We are actively seeking grants and funding opportunities to facilitate the demolition. However, we have not yet identified any stable funding sources. We are open to suggestions or assistance from the Town of Hagerstown in securing the necessary resources. Thank you.
As I recall too, the property has a number of hazardous material, asbestos and other things.
Yes, it does have asbestos on the outside, which is also helps. It does not help with the inflation because the quote for just removing the hazardous materials was well over $100,000, and that's where we've really got hung up because we can't afford to properly dispose of those hazardous materials.
Can I ask what's being done to essentially, the big concern is animals, other people getting inside the structure. What steps have been taken to secure the structure so that nobody can gain entrance?
We have boarded up all of the windows. We have locks on the doors. We had left the door unlocked for a long period of time as the guy that owns the shops there on the Main Street was coming in and taking any materials that he needed. We had just left it open to him. So we have locked that door back. We have boarded up the windows. There are a lot of feral cats that are around that area, but the neighbor on the other side of the road, she has cat houses and she feeds them 2-3 times a day. So it's really difficult to do anything with the cat issue with the neighborhood feeding the stray cats. But we have taken those initiatives, and then I have a large German Shepherd, and he will make a lap, or she makes a lap around that house every single day to get rid of any of the cats, kind of spur them out, and then she comes back in and she does that every day.
Chris, and I might be stepping out of line. I could be very well be ignorant to this. Is there another round or another funding source for blight programs yet?
That particular house was on the 2016
Yep.
register to be knocked down, and the owners at that time chose to pull it off and try to sell it, which is what they did.
Yep.
And so at one time it was next in line to be torn down. It could have been torn down at that time. There is another round that I'm working on. It's through the county, and they're only going to allow us 1 or 2 houses with that, if any, if we get any. And so
That
We've got-
has been approved though,
what was that?
through the blight program with the county.
It has been approved, but we have not been allotted
Right.
a space for it. Yeah, so there's 5 or 6 properties that are on that list. So yeah, and
It
that's-
is
and that's
on, it is on that list that we turned in.
it is on that list.
Okay.
Yeah, but there's 5 or 6 properties that are on the list. Yeah.
So do we have a timeline on when that part of the program is going to be decided?
Should be this spring, maybe late spring, May, June, possibly.
Okay. So there is a possibility that that property could be on that program, correct? I mean,
Possibly.
So I guess the next thing is, if it's not on that program, is there anything else that you know of out there?
There's nothing else I know of. No, and with that, even with that program, there's a lot of loopholes that we have to jump through as far as who owns the property, property ownership, that kind of thing. You know, we just can't go onto someone's property and say, hey, we'll tear $100,000. We'll tear a place down for you. So there's a lot of things that we have to jump through for that.
Right.
There's things that we have to do as far as a town, secure the property as far as ownership on the property, then demolish it and then sell it is more the procedure that needs to take place.
Also, the town would need to actually secure the property itself, to take down. Okay,
Yeah.
I touched on, understood that the last round is, the town needed to control the actual property.
I think, if I'm recalling right, Julie, all of the demolitions we've done in the past, it's been a similar situation to that. We've had to take ownership of it, even if it's, I think on some of those demolition grants, it was only, it's like $1 grant type of thing, for some of those where, yeah.
And Terry, is it 60 days? Is that?
I respectfully, especially to Amy.
Right.
I gave her 30 days because I didn't know if, I've had some people that have replied to me immediately.
Right.
And I've got some people that still haven't replied. She was very kind, very professional, very courteous. She replied as fast as she could.
Yeah.
And I asked her to please present her case. And honestly, that's where we're at right now.
So, I guess, without going too much into your decision making there, it sounds like.
Is there a bathroom she can use?
Yeah, that's right around the corner there. Just go out there and turn down the hall. The girls' room is on the right.
This way, sweetheart. Down that hall.
Nope, so, yeah, it's clever again.
Thank you, sorry.
It sounds like if that property is available for that program, it sounds like you would have to give up the property to the town for us to take it down. You understand that, correct?
I was not aware of that. I'm understanding that now. My hesitation with that is we did take out a loan to purchase that property and I'm still paying on the loan. So I don't want to continue paying on the loan and not on the property.
So, okay, so now we're back to that pickle. We've got an unsafe building. Obviously, it's a hazard. Obviously, this program would be great, but obviously we would have to take ownership of it. Do you have any insight that you can? I think, unfortunately, it sounds like there's not really much that we're going to be able to help out with, and that's just my opinion. And I'm a layman here, so.
Yeah, I think, you'd have to talk to the bank and see if the bank was willing. I mean, it sounds like this has a lot of issues. I mean, the bank might be willing to say, you know what, we'll just release our mortgage, let the town do what the town needs to do, and then maybe she buys it back from the town when it's an empty lot. You might have some options there, because I don't know what the town's plan would be. If you do take ownership, you do get it torn down, then what? You probably want to get back on the tax rolls to somebody.
Right.
But I think the fact that it's got a mortgage on it is gonna.
Well, and it's not a mortgage, it's just a personal loan.
Okay, but it's secured by a mortgage, or?
It's just a personal loan.
So if they don't actually have a lien on the property, then, I mean, in theory, you could deed it to the town, and get what needs to be done, and you wouldn't jeopardize any agreement with him. If it's just an unsecured, you know, like a credit card essentially, then you can do what you want with the property. That's a decision you're gonna have to make in cooperation with the town.
Speaking from the EDC part of it, I think it'd be worth a phone call to Valerie Schaefer over at EDC to check on the status of that, the blight program and how that would fit into it. Just curious, how many of them letters did you have to send out?
Several.
In Hagerstown.
Several.
So that's not the only one that's in this situation then?
I hate to put.
Yeah, I've met with Valerie and Sarah Mitchell over it, and we're in contact on it all the time, Brad, so, yeah.
Okay, yeah, I hate to put more on your plate, but,
No, we're in like weekly contact on it, so.
if, until the blight program is decided and if this property could be put on that, I guess my thought is, could we unfortunately do status quo until we find out, and then that will at least say, at least this is where we're at. And then at that point, then obviously you're gonna have to make a decision on.
Yeah, I mean, the property is still in the running. I think there were 5 or 6 houses that I identified with Sarah and Valerie as needing demolished, and there were 5 or 6 houses that I identified as at risk. So the at-risk ones were ones that we would give to if, like Lowe's or firemen or whoever wanted to help fix up a house, paint it, put a new roof on it, or whatever. Those are 5 or 6 houses I would recommend for that type of a program.
Gotcha.
The EDC is very impressed with Hagerstown, the housing stock here being in such good shape, and they said, really, you know, if we pay attention to just 5 or 6 houses, you know, fewer than 10 houses, it makes a huge impact here. Whereas in Richmond, where you have hundreds of dilapidated houses, if you touch 5 or 10 there, it's not going to even make an impact. So they, you know, they are interested in here.
So, I mean, I guess I'm not trying to commandeer this whole thing, but can we just kind of wait to see what happens
That's
here?
what we have to. Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty much, from our conversations, pretty much sure that we will get at least 1 space slotted for it. Possibly 2, but maybe not, because Hagerstown didn't contribute our money, you know, to the pool for all that either. So that's where we're at.
And I'm sure when this finally comes out, you'll probably communicate both to Terry and to Ms.
Amy Coffin.
Amy Kaufman.
Yeah.
That way that we can kind of at least get the ball rolling, because I agree, it's definitely a property that we need to take care of as soon as possible. And I understand where you're at. I can fully get everything you're saying there, and I think we're kind of at a point where, I don't want to say throwing a Hail Mary, but obviously, you know, trying to figure something out. And I think we're getting at least close to that. So.
I want to add, just, you made me think something. So Julie, what is in this EDC line? What do we have in our budget? Yeah.
In the actual one, 80.
Okay. So here's something, you know, I just thought of this. This is something to think about, is the EDC had asked us for us to give that money back to them, for them to go for the big grant.
Right.
Okay. Because we chose not to give them that money and hold on to it, it's maybe limiting us on how much of the blight money we're going to get. But remember, we still have the $180,000. So if we really feel that this is a real issue, I mean, what's the difference if you gave away all your money to them and you got 2 houses?
Right.
If we get 1 house and we still have the $180,000, maybe we need to be creative to think this process through. But Amy, I would say, like Chris and Fred have said, I think if you've tried to secure the house the best that you can, understand the cat situation, but if you've tried to secure it the best you can, and we feel like because that's been done, we can just wait to see what the EDC is going to do with the blight program, and then from that we can determine, we can make a better determination how we want to move forward with this. We just appreciate you trying to make the effort and to communicate back to all of us concerning that. So that would be my thoughts as well.
Anything else? Thank you for bringing that to us once again. Okay. Sewer credit for 151 East College Street.
Yes, you guys have the printout that shows, with our new technology, our new system, we're able to look, which is really nice. Back in November, it shows no consumption used, right? And then we get to December 7th and it spikes up. So that lets us know that there was a leak of some sort. And that went all the way to January 3rd, right? And then they fixed it and it went back down. So, and my understanding, they weren't being charged for water, right? So when she's asking about the 269 on here, that's for January's, because it was January and February's bill. Which is December and January usage. Right, yeah. So that's what that adjustment was, the 269. And so, we figured January's, just for the sewer, be 176.76, and then February's 165.45. And they have fixed it. It's 2 months worth.
So the I see it, I'm sorry. So what they're asking for, forgiveness is a total of $342.20.
Mm-hmm. That's just the sewer.
That's just the sewer. And it definitely was a leak, you're assuming.
Yes.
So it really wasn't going down the sewer. The
Right.
leak, yeah.
Yeah, right. But they still pay for the water.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'll go ahead and make a motion that we forgive the 176.76 for January and the 165.44 for February for a total of $342.20 for the property on 151 East College Street.
It's been properly moved and seconded that we credit the account for 151 East College Street at $342.20. All those in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?
Abstain.
John?
Okay, last month we talked about creating an account for the MISO fund, kind of a hedge fund, if you want to call it that. In talking with Julie, and I think she had some conversations with the State Board of Accounts, I don't think we need to take any action on that. There's going to be essentially a sub-account created, and Julie can correct me if I get any of my terms wrong here, but underneath the electric operating account. So I think with her authority as clerk treasurer and working under your direction, you guys can move money, earmark money in that account, move it in and out as you see fit without taking any official action or any resolution. I prepared a letter for Chris to review for some of the water meters that we have difficulty getting access to that need to be swapped out. So I think I drafted it go out potentially on my letterhead, but once he reviews it and is good with the language, we'll get some letters out to those folks and see if we can get that cleaned up. What am I missing? We got airport lease is close. Sound like you had feedback from 4-H and it'll be with a different entity, but that's essentially the only change, I think.
I think so, yeah.
So maybe next month we'll get that done. I think that's all I have this month. Oh, I know we're working on some building ordinance violations, and I think we're going to try to schedule a lunch to talk to Chris and Terry and others about how to get started on some of those things, some of the violations, and I think some people have been doing some work without a permit, pretty much thumbing their nose at the whole process. So I think that's all I have.
Wayne County EDC.
We had kind of a short meeting today, and sorry for the last 2 months I haven't been around, but I've traveled quite a bit in January and February. But again, the meeting today fairly small. And, but one of the things that kind of come to my attention that probably ought to know about is they're going to be getting back from one of the grants that they give out back in 2019 to a company called Gray Sales and Engineering. They didn't meet all the criteria that you have to meet to be able to retain the monies that they got, which was I think like $41,000. So they've done some adjustments to the deal, but they're still going to have to give back $5,412 of that money, which, good and bad, at least there's checks and balances on that money that's going out, and they keep track of if you're following the criteria you have to do to qualify and follow through with it. And it had to do with the employee retention and additional employees, but so that was one thing. The other thing kind of important to me too was the town of Economy. You probably saw this in the paper. They're going to kind of revitalize the playground equipment that's been there ever since I went there. My dad went there years ago, and a lot of people in this community. And EDC's, I think it's contributing $10,000, and if they get up to $50,000, they get a match of that, which, according to Gary Saunders, that's probably going to happen. So, and they will also be working on the community center, we call it the Econodome, the gymnasium, but the playground equipment. So people have been very generous in contributing to that. But another good thing that the EDC does. And again, I'll be forwarding the meetings minutes. Hope you guys have been getting them that I send to you so you can go through and look at the details of it. A lot of financial information I'll bore you with, but if you got any questions, don't hesitate to call me, and I'll be sending that on to you.
Thanks, sir. Wayne County Chamber.
I was actually out of the state that day. They had their meeting, but I do know when they're scheduled now, and I got their schedule for this year, so I will try to make that.
Parks and Recreation.
Their first meeting of the year will be next Monday here in Chambers at 7 o'clock. You know, I went out to the park over the weekend. They continued to clear a lot of the dead trees out of there. So I know Mike has been working on that diligently. And actually, if you haven't been out there in a while, it's pretty interesting. I mean, it's just different than the way it used to be. So, but it had to be done. So.
Keith, Police Department.
Couple updates. Officer Fleming, she graduates from the academy a week from Friday, so we'll have her back. We have received all the mobile radios that we ordered right towards the end of the year. We hope to have those installed in the vehicles a couple weeks. We've received all the updated computers from the computer grant. They're currently having all the programs installed on them over in Richmond right now, so we hope to put them in the vehicles also within the next couple weeks. Told the new portables are being programmed right now. Deliveries expected anytime on those. So hopefully within the next couple weeks we'll have all that closed out and actually issued out and being used. So we're looking forward to that. And then about the only other thing that I have is in anticipation for the Clips weekend and all the events and everything going on, I sent out a letter to all the full-time officers, including the 2 SROs earlier, actually at the end of last week, making them aware that we're going to be doing basically forced mandatory overtime that weekend. So basically every one of them, all the officers are going to be required to work over that 3-4 day period. So that's going to ultimately be kind of an unforeseen expense and overtime for that weekend. How much, etc. I won't know until it's all over with. How that'll affect, you know, my budget, I probably won't know till the end of the year how it all works out. But just so you're kind of aware that, you know, that potentially down the road could be kind of an unforeseen expense. But with as many events and stuff that's planned for that weekend, I'm gonna need as many bodies as I can get, and really our only resource is gonna be, you know, to utilize the officers we have. So with that, we're gonna just have no other options other than, you know, to require the overtime from them. So I think when I worked on a schedule to ensure adequate staffing the best that I could for that, we're looking at about 110 overtime hours over the course of that. So I think when I did the figures, that put us somewhere around $4,500 in overtime expense for that weekend. You know, like I said, obviously that could be less or a little bit more, just depends on crowds and just how that weekend goes. But just kind of wanted to give you a little notice that's my plan, because that's going to be my only avenue as far as for, you know, assistance for that weekend. Other than that, that's all that I had.
Thought came to mind if you could keep a track of those overtime hours,
Yes.
provided we may have, you know, the ability through the ARPA funds to be able to compensate for that or cover the cost of that.
And the last thing also is, I think we discussed it a while back, but in regards to one of the plans with the opiate money from a while back, we are still planning on having the mayor from Hagerstown, Maryland is going to be there. She is still going to do the speaking presentation at the high school on Wednesday morning after the eclipse. And this is something that she's done at other locations. I think that's going to go over very well. The school's excited about it as well. So that is still scheduled and planning to go on that morning. Once I get the more specifics, I'll get you the times and stuff, and obviously, you know, you're welcome to come and attend if you'd like to come and listen to her that morning also.
And what morning is that gonna be?
Wednesday morning, so that would be, I guess, what, I think the 10th, yes.
Okay.
And if I remember right, I think it was gonna be like 10 to 11:30 maybe that morning. But once I get the specifics on the time, I'll get that out to
Do we
you.
have to let you know if we want to attend so you can get us, I mean, the school, you just can't walk in there, can you, during the school hours?
No, but we'll get you in.
Okay.
if you want to. Yeah, because it's going to be something that's not like going to be open to the public,
Right.
but correct. But yes, if you want to attend, let me know, and I'll make sure that they're aware that you'll be there.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, sir. Rick, fire department.
You got my monthly report I sent out today. There again, the department stayed pretty busy. We finished up February with 25 calls. So that's what we're averaging about a month now, since the year's about 25 calls a month. Our AFG grant, the narrative part is done by the grant writers. We reviewed it. They did a good job, so we'll be getting that submitted. It's got to be submitted by the 8th. So hopefully, Annelle will be submitting that for us. So we did lessen the amount that we were going to go for. We were going to go for 25 of the radios, and we talked about that, and we just decided to just do it at 15, which is still a little over $70,000. So once that's submitted, it'll probably be sometime this summer before they start announcing the grants. I did okay with the contractor to go ahead and start doing some repairs to the station and our restroom over there, which is much needed repairs to that. Our membership, we're still looking for 2 members, so if anybody wants to be a member of the department, let me know. We'll go through the application process. And the Eclipse, I reckon we're as ready as we'll ever be for it, so we'll have as many manpower as we can on the station. I don't know if we'll be there 24/7. It just depends on the amount of people we have in town. So, but we'll be there. So that's all I got.
Thanks, sir.
I have a question. We don't have to match that grant.
Yes, we do. It's a 5% match on that grant. 5%. So it's a little over $3,000. The township has offered to help out with that. So, and then once that grant is written, we have a fee for the grant writer. We get, if we're accepted, we get 50% of that money back from the AFG. So.
Just one question. I know that we extended the agreement with the township for 2024, but have you continued to, or is there still conversation going on with the trustee's office, how that's going to look in 2025 or forward, or where are we at on?
Yes, I met with Chris last month, and we sat down and talked about a few things. It's probably going to sit down and take with a workstation or a work session with us and a couple of township members, advisory board. There's different ideas on that out there on how we proceed with the township and town. So, but yeah, we're still in conversation and we're still working through that.
Okay, thanks, Greg.
Yeah.
Mike, Airport Board.
I'd like to thank you guys again for the loan for last year for our tractor. It's running great. We would like to make sure that comes out of this year's budget. So I don't know if there's an actual process for that, or.
I'll just put it in the minute. I just wanted to get that in the minutes that taken from the airport back to our money.
Okay.
7,000. Thank you.
And then last week we voted to actually do the mowing ourselves this year to save those labor costs. Combine that with the money from the sale of our old tractor and buy a lot larger mower deck. The one we're looking at right now is about a little over twice as big, so we should be able to cut our labor costs in the future. Last thing, again, the 4-H lease. I think we're really close. You changed the leasee's name instead of the extension office to the Wayne County 4-H Association.
Wayne County 4-H.
So I think we met out there yesterday. I think I'm a lot closer to understanding their use of the property now, and I think we're really close. So.
Yeah, I can interrupt.
Yeah, good.
Mike and I's communication has gotten much better in the last year, and understanding our needs and wants and where we all stand. And so it's been a long time since I've been able to say thumbs up. And your quick response on the lease has helped as well.
Good.
I think some of the improvements we want to start even before the lease is approved. Reason being is, even if everything is perfect, the board of directors from the extension office won't meet until March 18th. And we want to do as best we can to have it as presentable as we can prior to the eclipse. And the last thing we need is be behind the 8 ball on just a few minor technicalities. But I think we can work it out.
Oh yeah.
So
that's all I've got.
Thank you. Advisory Planning Commission.
We met, so Terry talked to us a little bit about some issues that we have with our building commissioner and what he can do and what he can't do, and there's some gray area that's causing some issues, and then I'm hoping to get to come to the meeting that John's coming to. We also Our ordinances do not really address anything in the 2 mile fringe, and that's becoming somewhat of a cloudy situation too. And so we're trying to figure out what we can do to try to clean this up, to get rid of some of the gray areas that everybody seems to find, so they don't have to abide by the rules. We're feeling like we're losing a little bit of a grip on what we can do and what we can't do, and also be able to give people a real direct answer to their questions. So we are going to have to take that up pretty seriously with help of John. I would ask you that John might have to come to one of our meetings too to kind of help us through this process, because we need to get, my understanding is we need to get all that in place, and then it needs to come back to you, to town council for approval. So, and I don't know, we as a commission can get all the legal things put in place that needs to be there, so we're probably going to have John help us a little bit. So that was, and then the other thing we did is, out of last year's budget, we made a contribution towards the new sign that's going out on the east side of town that's marked off if anybody wants to see where that's going to go. Because of the configuration of it, it's kind of two-sided there. It was going to be a little bit more money, so the Plan Commission has made another contribution to that sign out of our budget to kind of offset some of that cost that Chris has to work out where the rest of it comes from. So we, did you tell Julie how much it was? It was 5, wasn't it?
Not, that's more than that.
Was it 7? Was it 7?
We did 9, didn't we?
The encumber was
We encumbered
9
9.
Oh, you
from
took,
last year.
oh, no, last year, what we're going to give this year.
Oh,
We haven't discussed that yet.
Oh,
Or
well,
we haven't discussed it yet.
do you remember the number? It's either 5 or 7.
We had, you mean how much money we had left?
No, how much are we
Our
giving
budget
this year?
2024.
9,700.
No, it's an even number.
it's 10.
97,
It's 10, 10,000 is your budget.
I know, it's, I'll get the number, I got it wrote down, I'll call you. I got it, I got it wrote down. These guys are making me nervous, he's gonna take all he can get. They're making me nervous. I'll get a hold of the real number and get it to you. Oh, okay. So, but that's the two things, you know, we need to work on some of, Terry's been really good to bring some of the areas that he's struggling with, and we gotta address it. And then what we can do a little bit on this 2 mile fringe to get that in control as well. And I just want to say that I think, I know Terry, he comes to this meeting, but he comes to the Plan Commission meeting, advisory meeting, and he's done an excellent job. He really has. He's done an excellent job, and I can't say thanks enough for what he's doing. Okay.
Thank you. Chris?
Yep, on our utilities, I'm gonna skip around a lot on this. Really, the big thing right now is we have the North Clarifier down at the wastewater treatment plant, which I think I've reported to you at least the last one, possibly 2 meetings. And we've had a bunch of people in there. We're gonna have to do a complete rebuild on that. It's upwards of $40,000, so that's going to be an expensive thing there that we're doing. As far as the other utilities, we've had some minor power outages during the heavy winds of the electric department, but thankfully nothing real major. I've mainly been working on 4 grants right now. The one is this Oak Ridge Water Grant, which we hope to get $700,000 for that. The second one would be an LSL water line testing grant that I'm trying to get. That's $15,000. Third one is just the Community Crossings grant, getting all this contract signed with Milestone for the $130,000 grants, and then the fourth one, as Brad mentioned, was the EDC demolition grant that I'm working on as well. As far as other things that I've been up to, Brian just mentioned the sign. We have all the building materials that were supposed to be delivered today. I didn't get a chance to get out there to see if they delivered this or not. I have the screen ordered. Had attended a community solar eclipse meeting, answered some questions there. I've been working with Terry on several building code issues, which you mentioned as well. We met with a residential developer. They're interested in possibly constructing a spec house or two. They're not interested in taking on the land and developing it though, which, you know, so we'll have to just kind of work through that. Met with all our utility workers about the solar eclipse weekend. Our biggest concern is just keeping the town from getting trashed. We've rented dumpsters, rented several porta potties. Our guys are going to be going around helping with information, changing trash cans, that kind of thing, just trying to keep the town from getting trashed. That's the biggest thing. As far as other things, important dates that we have coming up, the PBS now entering series. They have a storyteller night, which is for everyone that contributed. That's this Thursday night down at the meeting place, but then the main thing's going to air on PBS on March 14th, the main show. Lions Club is sponsoring Plate and Palette on Saturday, March 16th, and those proceeds will go to Boys and Girls Club. Blind Logic, the show on Ralph Teeter, is airing Friday, April 5th in the auditorium. If you want tickets, those are available over at the library. And then the last thing, all the events for the solar eclipse, which is Monday, April 8th. So it's just a really busy time of year here in Hagerstown.
So the accident at the railroad, that's what we're currently fixing on, correct?
Correct.
I see.
I think the new signal and all that's in place, I believe.
Correct. Now, they're probably not doing anything with the roadway, correct? Or do you know?
They packed gravel down in
I
it
did
as far as, so they have brought that back up to level because it was, like a foot deep when you cross over the railroad tracks. I did drive over each of those today. South Street, they put a little bit of gravel in that one as well, but it's still definitely not a permanent fix. And, maybe they're waiting on asphalt companies to open up to hopefully permanently fix it then.
So,
but that's been a real mess, and it's something that we've tried to contact the railroad, and other residents have tried contacting the railroad, just not really getting any action on that.
yeah, I've tried contacting them, so I guess this is where I hit the ball back to your court. What kind of recourse do we have when they own that intersection and it's their responsibility to keep it up? Just thoughts.
So railroads are notorious for playing by their own rules. They're essentially governed by the federal government, so they can pretty much do what they want. I mean, we can certainly make some noise and send us some communication, but I don't know that we have a lot of leverage. I can check into it, but I know Newcastle ran into that with storage of rail cars, and pretty much it was like, no, we don't have to do anything.
Yeah, because they're doing that currently right now out there in the country. It looked like a rail yard out there.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Okay. Like I said, it's just it's frustrating because there's a sign they tell you call this number if there's an issue, and this is the location, and you tell them this, and you get no response. So.
And South Washington Street's a pedestrian crossing too. I mean, there are hundreds of pedestrians that cross that intersection daily, and it's too bad that it's in the condition that it's in.
Quick question on that. I get it, it's not our responsibility and we probably can't even fix it, but can we at least get like a caution sign or something? Because if you don't know it, like my son rides a street bike, that would be, no, it's not our responsibility.
We can, it's a delicate process there. It's just like we've had some people ask, can we repair the, around the railroad tracks, and you don't want to take responsibility for it, then it becomes your, so we could probably, we did put up the sign on the south side of the tracks that has the lowboy trailer, striking the railroad tracks as a warning. So we have done some of that, but it might be some stuff that I want to actually ask John if he thinks it's good. I just want to be careful where we.
Just something, because I know the first time I hit it, I would have pulled over to see if we damaged anything.
And the one over on South Street's even more.
That was the one I hit.
That's when you hit, yeah.
And so, especially as it's getting warmer and the street bikes going.
Oh yeah.
And just for the safety of people in Hagerstown as much as.
It's even difficult to get our trucks across there when we have to respond on a fire scene or something down there. We have to really slow down to get over to make sure that they don't drag going over that hump.
When we had that semi-train wreck last week, the railroad said they were redoing it. It's scheduled to be redone in June.
Of what year?
Well, I'm with you there. Yeah. So.
Well, at least there's some movement there. I've not heard that date yet, so that's interesting.
Yeah, that
But like Rick said, one year, we rented them and they were paving 38. They moved that goalpost every year, it seemed like.
Well, if I'm recalling right, when they repaired State Road 1, they actually made it worse and then had to come back and do it a second or third time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have a question.
Yes.
Is the Hagerstown mayor still coming? And
She still is.
Do we have to make any accommodations for her?
I think, Keith, did you already make accommodations for her?
What's that?
For the mayor?
Yep,
of
I've already got it all set up and,
Yeah.
yes.
Julie Hoskins and I are entertaining her pretty much all the days except the day she's at the high school, except, yeah.
Thanks, Rick.
Yeah.
Terry, information you want to share from your report?
After this meeting, I feel kind of like the bad. Over the current situation that I don't believe I need to name, I have been in phone contact with the state fire marshal. They're going to send a gentleman here from Cambridge. I've been in contact with the state building commission and they've washed their hands of everything. I have been in contact with the Wayne County Health Department and they are going to be involved. We put a red tag on it this morning and within an hour of the red tag I finally heard from them. They are supposedly going to be in tomorrow morning at 9 o'clock to pay for a proper permit and allow me in to do a walkthrough, and they are supposedly going to conform. We will see.
Any questions? Okay. Julie?
Right now, we currently have the auditors here. They came last week, they should be here, they said that they'll be here 2 weeks. So they're auditing 19 through 23. And then, let's see what else. So I want to talk about the ARPA money, because the ARPA money we have to use by the end of the year, correct? And so right now, I show that we have like
I think it has to be appropriated and then spent by 2026.
Is that right? We have 189 in there right now.
Yeah, it's like $190,000.
Yeah.
If I remember that right, I'm pretty sure.
Well,
that's
that
right.
does ring a bell.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it's appropriated by this year. Yeah, I think it is. I think Becky's right.
So that's all.
While Julie's there, since her and John have come to the conclusion that we just have a subline in the electric budget for the MISO money, I'm gonna make a motion that we move $100,000 from the electric operating into that MISO line in that budget to start putting our hedge there against that.
Julie, what's in the account, maybe on that line?
The electric operating?
Yeah.
Really taking it from operating and not UCR.
No.
No. Okay, so in the operating is 391.
How often do we pull out of that?
I mean, we have salaries come out of there.
But, so 100 would,
Oh, yeah, that would be fine. I mean, it's still gonna be in there.
I understand, but it's gonna be into a different,
Yes.
bucket, if you will, so. I second.
It's been properly moved and seconded that we move $100,000 from the electric operating fund into the new fund for our MISO hedge. All those in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. Anything else for Julie?
UCA members.
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
I look back to some of my old paperwork. As you can recall, some of you, years ago, we had a sheet that had all boards and all commissions and their members on their expiration date and all this. So I finally found an old one for mine, from the zoning board. We we've got 2 members that their terms expired 2 years ago. And we got one that expired December of last year. And these need to be filled, and I've got a concern about one of the members. Looking through the ordinance about they cannot hold an elected position with another municipality or another elected official somewhere else, so that I need to run that by the town attorney just to make sure I'm on there. But I do know that Chris Sanova is a member from the Planning Commission on there, and his expired. So if he's going to be on, he needs to be reappointed. I need to be reappointed. And our member from the out within a 2-mile fringe, Chris Lane, he needs to be reappointed, but he's the one I'm concerned about, seeing how he's a township trustee. But if that's the case, then that leaves us with 3 members from the zoning board. So we're really going to be hurting for zoning board members. And I know probably maybe end of March, sometime in April, I can foresee a big zoning variance request coming before the council. So we need to get acted up on this here.
So them's all president appointed, right? Town council appointed? Am I right on that, Rick?
Let's see. I think they are, yes. This doesn't say, but I'm pretty sure that I read in the book that there's town council president.
I don't think that, but there does need to be one there from the advisory planning commission. There needs to be one from that plan, from that committee to sit on that.
Yeah, that's Chris Sanova.
But his term's termed out.
His term expired December 31st, 2022. I have no problem staying on, so you want to re-import me, that's fine.
Didn't Chris say at the last planning commission that he was willing to serve again? No, I thought he did.
Well, I think we need to confirm that before we throw him underneath.
Okay.
We'll get that confirmed.
How often does that meet? How often does that meet?
Whenever there's a zoning variance request, so.
And we'll take that under advisement and take care of that at the next meeting, once we have confirmation of that.
But I want to, so who's going to find out whether Chris, not that, if that's a conflict, if being the
I got the
trustee.
zoning book here, so after the meeting I can show it to Jan over there real quick. And
Because Alan probably needs some guidance on that, what we need to do there.
Brian,
Yeah.
what are you doing? The electric?
Oh, yeah, I think we need to do a special meeting on that, right? Julie and I, we talked about, we have the next electric increase, and because of all the match we have to do with the water project, are we better off to let that sit and transfer that over on the water side? And Julie has all those numbers, she gave them to me, and we looked at them. I think it's doable, but we're gonna have to look at the water rates and figure out how to do that. So I really think that'll have to, I don't know if that's a special meeting or what kind of meeting, but we gotta look at how we gotta do that, so that we can get John, because that'll have to happen,
Yeah, because it was supposed to start May 1st.
Yes, so we gotta do it in March here.
Yes.
Yeah, so yeah, that would be a special meeting. then.
Special, yeah.
That way, if we need a vote on it, you can vote in a special meeting.
But Julie does have the numbers, and we just need to look at the water rates and how we gotta implement them to get where we need to be.
We have a special meeting coming up the 18th.
It's a public hearing.
Oh, it's a public hearing.
Oh, that's a public, that's a public,
Yeah,
So on the 18th, what we're saying.
6:30 is the public hearing, and then after the following that would be the special meeting on this, okay.
Anything else? Under miscellaneous business, next regular council meeting will be Monday, April 1st, 2024 at 6:30. Town hall will be closed Friday, March 29th to observe Good Friday. Of course, the eclipse coming up on the 8th and the plans in the weekend prior to that. Everybody had a chance to review the claims?
So moved and approved.
Second.
It's been properly moved and seconded that we approve the claims as presented. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Move to adjourn.
You want a second? Second.
It's been properly moved and seconded that we adjourn. All those in favor?
Aye.